It's easy to say that the World Cup is one of the biggest events in the entire world, as per the name suggests, but not only in iGaming, but all the other markets as well. However, a lot of companies still treat it like a small championship, just like, for example, a National League. They do the same offers with the same banners and the same promos, just turning up the volume to be a little bit louder. In this episode of The Square Table, brought to you by Kensho Media, we're sitting down with Steven from Invixos to talk about how sportsbooks should actually maintain their campaigns throughout the whole tournament. Time zones in the new format will shape how the tournament behaves and how operators should plan their whole strategy. From early awareness to acquisition during the group stage matches, this is an episode you should not miss at all. As usual, I am your Brazilian host, Victor Julio Coupe, and you're going to be watching an amazing episode. Steven, World Cup era. We're going to be talking so much about World Cup right now. I think it's easy to even say that the entire iGaming industry is looking forward to the World Cup, either for some way or another. They're going to have their own campaigns. They're going to have a lot of things pushing towards the World Cup. But you and I know that not everything fits every kind of shoes. So let's discuss the possibilities and the things that these companies should be looking for. But I would rather ask you first about sports books. So we're going to have several sports books pushing ads, hitting up their players through email, through SMS, doing a lot of things to catch everyone's attention. And we all know that the player base, the count itself, will exponentially raise during the World Cup as well. Now, for these types of companies, where should they begin before even any of these campaigns or offers go live? What are the things that they should start being preoccupied right now in March when this video is releasing, so that they're not, in a hurry in June, July?
Well, I think like every iGaming operator basically wants to be and needs to be around the World Cup. It's every 4 years, so this year it's coming up as well, and every operator wants to basically be there. But I think it's really important for an operator to decide for themselves, like, okay, do I want to be there? Do I really understand the event that is coming up? I think that's the main goal here, because you want to be there, but how do you want to be there? And is this an event that I really want to be around? Basically, the World Cup has changed a little bit. So we got a new format.
Yeah.
But if we talk about the World Cup 2026 basics here, we know it's coming up in the summer. It's around 5 weeks now, from the 11th of June until the 19th of July.
Mm-hmm.
I think most of us know already, but really important to know is the location where it's actually being held. So it will be held in the USA, in Canada, and
Mexico.
in Mexico. Yeah. And interestingly, it's played over 16 different cities. So we got 2 cities in Canada, I believe 3 in Mexico, and
the
then
rest
most
is
of the and the rest is spread over the US. So we got a lot of matches, but most of the matches are actually played in the US. So my first indication based on that basic information is already this is an event that might be very interesting for North American, South American operators, and maybe less interesting for European ones.
Mostly because of time zone, right? I'm really sorry for
Time
cutting
zone as well,
yourself,
yeah.
but I remember living in Brazil, and I think it was the South Korean 2002, the South Korean World Cup, and we couldn't watch it because of time zones. We literally couldn't watch it. So if we are talking, I'm pretty sure there are gonna be games on the west coast of the USA and on the east as well. So we're even talking about different time zones within the USA. Not everybody in Europe, especially Asia, will be awake to watch the games.
Yeah, that's it. And I think this is what probably the European customers and consumers of television and watching the World Cup will experience. Because most of the games, like you said, will be in the afternoon or in the evening in the US, in LATAM. But then for Europe, it will be evening. It will be the middle of the night. So I'm just asking myself, like, how important is it for a European operator to be, let's say, visible around the live event, around the live matches, while a game is being played on a Tuesday night at 3 o'clock in the morning? You need to get up at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. Are you really going to watch the game? So I think this is important for an operator, especially European, then to understand, okay, are a lot of those matches being played in the middle of the night? Should I then try to be around those live matches, or maybe should I, adjust my marketing a bit instead of being around the live matches? Should I maybe focus more on content in the
Mhm.
afternoon, evening that is previewing these matches, not be around the live match, and then also focus on the next morning when people get up on highlights, replays, and etc.
Especially, I'm thinking here, if we are talking about the biggest event, even you said so yourself, and it's very important. It happens only once every 4 years. So people don't usually, how can I say, get easy time off with excuses about why they're not going to be doing anything regarding the World Cup, right? Again, everyone is going to take their eyes into it. We even have a lot of political stances right now, cultural even, not even political. But like the USA is not the biggest market for, as they say, soccer. You go to the USA, some even said that the Super Bowl is still bigger than the World Cup. We know it's not, but let them think otherwise. It's clear that this is gonna be the first time for a lot of things to happen. It's clear that this is gonna be the first time ever for a lot of marketing campaigns and marketing teams that will then discover new journeys, new behaviors.
Yeah, everyone wants to be around the World Cup, and I think every iGaming operator should try to be there. But everything will depend on, like you said as well, okay, around timings, because it's only played for every 4 years basically. But you want to be there, even if you don't have the biggest budget, or even if you don't are only visible in Europe or something. I mean, obviously you want to be there when you're a sports enthusiast, and I think all the gamblers that are really into it, obviously they will try to watch it. But the majority of the people will, if it's in the middle of the night, they will just go to sleep. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, place
Yes.
their pre-match bet. The live betting for European brands might take an impact here as well because of the timings. So normally when it's being played, like in Qatar 4 years ago, it was watchable. And then
True.
you watch the game, you place a bet. Let's say you're a Brazilian fan. Let's say Brazil against Haiti or something, come 1-0 behind in the first 10 minutes. What do? You say, look, Brazil is still going to win it. You're gonna place that bet.
Oh
But if
yeah.
this happens while you are sleeping, you cannot place that bet. So the live betting impact will, yeah, it will have an impact for the operator, and I expect more pre-match bets than actually than
During the
live.
match,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
not only that, but we also have to take into consideration the stages of the World Cup. Not everyone watches group stage. Mostly the guys get themselves sorted in the knockout stages, right? During the middle and of course the end of the World Cup. Now, how do you break the plan, the campaign into these stages of the World Cup? Is there a main goal in each phase? Should we, again, by we iGaming companies, go lighter on the group stages and then start going stronger on the knockout? Does it even make sense to do so?
yeah. We quickly touched on the format of the World Cup as well, because now we got 48 teams instead of 32. So we got 16 teams basically more. It has an impact, on my opinion, on the appealness of the group matches. Because you got Brazil against Haiti playing, I think Belgium is playing against New Zealand, and etc. So you got a lot of smaller teams that have qualified for the World Cup now. So group stage obviously is important, but I think less important now, because also, if you see at the group stage, the first one will qualify for the knockout stages, round of
Mhm.
32. The second one will automatically qualify as well. And then I believe we got 12 groups, so the eight best third place teams will also qualify. So even if Brazil or Belgium loses a match, maybe even draws a match and loses a match, I think there's still a big chance to qualify. So, what is the importance of the group stage? With the expansion of the national teams here, I believe the group stage has become less interesting. But to come back to your question, basically, how do you prepare for it? Operators should really focus on the end of the Premier League. After that, you got 17 days until the World Cup
Mhm.
starts. Usually, an operator should prepare for a World Cup campaign about 2 weeks before the first match is being played. So you could say Sunday the 24th. English Premier League still has the games. You could start on Monday, but I think that's a bit soon. I would rather
Hmm.
start then the next Thursday or the next Monday, so 14 to 10 days before. Now, during that pre-tournament campaign, what operators should really focus on is bringing out their general marketing campaign. So
Hmm.
you focus on your brand awareness, you focus on getting your logo out, you focus on getting your brand out, and the awareness of the World Cup. Awareness of the World Cup is starting in 10 days, in 14 days, and etc. And you start focusing obviously on acquisition, try to bring in your customers, your new customers already. And then your CRM team should focus on, because there are no live matches yet, they should focus on the long-term bets and who's going to win the tournament, who's going to win the World Cup, who qualifies for the knockout rounds, like long-term tournaments bets they should focus on. So you focus on awareness for the World Cup, you focus on some acquisition, and you focus on try to retain those new customers that you're bringing in. So this is what you do during the pre-tournament phase, let's say. And then once the tournament starts, you go into the group stage. So this is 11 June until 27th of June. In the past, these 2 weeks of group stage has always been the most important. You got matches every day. Every day
Hmm.
there's live action going on. So these are the most important days or 2 weeks basically of your campaign. Now, in the pre-tournament phase, you don't localize your content yet. So you're not having national flags in there, and you're not doing any special match events with special colors or national cultural events or elements to get the emotion of the customer. But you do that in the group stage. So whenever Brazil is playing, okay, you add in the Brazilian flag, you got the Belgian team playing, you do the same, and etc. and etc. So you're trying to really connect with your customer there. And this is where you focus obviously on an acquisition point, try to bring in as much customers and players as possible. And on your CRM part, you shift away a bit from those long-term tournament bets, but you go to shorter term campaigns like match day
Hmm.
events. So this is where you also focus on activity. You need to get as much activity as possible. So acquisition, activity, and keep your players on the site. And this is what you do with, or try to do at least with localized content.
Back in 2014, during Brazil's World Cup, our biggest e-commerce site did a campaign where any TV that you bought on the store, if you paid $1 extra, you would be already qualified for this promotion, which was if Brazil won the World Cup, the TV was gonna be refunded entirely for you. So they managed to get a lot of TV buyers on the store to buy TVs. As we all know, it worked out for them, the e-commerce, because Brazil didn't win the World Cup. Now, this is an example of a retailer. What else in even in iGaming with these casinos can they do to, as you said so yourself, bring more players to stand out? We need the brands to stand out. Every single brand will try to stand out. How can they stand out? Is it an emotional standout? Is it a pricing standout? As I said so, for the iGaming ones, there's something that they should try it with self, because even talking more about Brazil, for me, you were mentioning Belgium, and it already hit me home with some traumas of Belgium winning against Brazil. And then you bring up the Netherlands, another trauma. And then you bring Germany. I don't even need to continue anymore. So there you go. What can such brands do to get Victor to stay like close to them and excited about them?
Let's say I think Belgium won once from Brazil, but normally would have always been the other way around. So I think it only happened once. But you see, it's an emotion because you're still with it, and this is what iGaming brands need to try to do as well. They need to try to connect with their consumer and with the customer, and there will be so many brands visible around the World Cup. Depends obviously on some markets and key regulations and advertisement restrictions. I mean, around live events, maybe only 3 iGaming brands can be present. But
Mm-hmm.
in general, so many brands will try to be present around the World Cup. And you, as an operator, need to try to find the gap in between, saying, where can I make the difference? So an example that we already said is, okay, localize. So if you localize your content, people feel a connection there already. If before the
Hmm.
tournament as well, you do a really great competitor analysis of what has operator I done in the past during Qatar or any other event, how do they usually do it? How can I make a difference? So it's just about finding a gap, try to connect with your customer, because that's going to make a better impact than just pushing out a general campaign that is basically the same than all of the others. So try to find an edge, dare to think out of the box a bit. And it can even be done with a small budget. You don't have to have a big budget for this. Just try to be smart, try to connect with your customer basically, and you're gonna make the difference. Because what they usually do is, I'm gonna increase my acquisition offer or something, or I'm gonna increase
Increase
my
bonus.
tournament prize offer, increase
Yeah.
bonus. Look, everyone is doing this, so try
Yeah.
to be a little
Yeah.
bit different. And it takes some time maybe to come up with the right idea. A/B test
True.
it, do two different campaigns, see what works best.
And if you are lacking some ideas as to how you can rank your website during iGaming season, then hit us back at Kensho Media. We're doing SEO for high stakes markets since 2008. Now, whenever we're talking about World Cup, normal people, I mean, not iGaming related World Cup, we always talk about the players. Me in Brazil, we're still in doubt if Neymar, for example, will be a player in this national team. But what about the teams themselves? We are seeing an increase in AI overviews and AI activities. But luckily for us, we're still seeing a huge increase also in influencers, ambassadors, faces that are now representing brands. And of course, with this age of network and everybody being connected, you have to be a little more, I'm not going to say smarter, but careful to pick the right person to represent your brand. Maybe a former player, maybe a Twitch streamer, Mr. Beast for some companies as well. So, how do you pick this type of person, this right ambassador to talk on your behalf to these viewers, these players, without creating brand or compliance headaches?
You need to identify your key markets. So basically know for which key markets or for which markets basically you want to use a certain ambassador or a certain influencer for your brand. Because eventually this person, this face, is going to be the face of your brand.
Yeah.
So you need to be very careful who you choose. It needs to be a clean person, preferably not one with a history of another brand, because otherwise they're going to make the association already. This
Mm,
person should not have any controversy around him or tends to cause problems and media storms for your brand. So it's very difficult to find the right person. And it's even more difficult if you're a global operator to find an ambassador that fits across all of your markets. So I would rather, me personally, I would rather go for selecting your key markets, and then based on those key markets, maybe per market, go for an ambassador that really
mhm.
connects with your market instead of overall looking for one. Because also, I mean, influencers and ambassadors, they're not allowed in every market as
True.
well. And so if you look at the Netherlands, I mean, they're very strict there, obviously, but it's a great example. You cannot use anyone. So yeah, be very careful who you choose and preferably choose one specifically for a key market to, yeah, to gain some market share there.
Yeah, I was reading, I think it was this week actually, that X banned iGaming influencers from posting iGaming related content on X. And by iGaming related content, I mean
Yeah,
affiliate links, basically.
yeah,
They're banning that. This is not going to be a part of the journey anymore. So we are seeing already even one of the biggest social media platforms already doing some changes, probably because they are already preparing themselves ahead of the World Cup, I assume. The whole conversation of ours right now is being towards people need to prepare. Everyone needs to prepare. But I actually want to move ahead now, putting ourselves in the first week of the World Cup. Tournament has started. Everyone's super happy. Games are beautiful. Nothing wrong happened. What are you, Steven, as this iGaming consultant, expert, somebody who understands the metrics? What are you watching day to day to know if the campaign, if the plan is working or if it needs to change? Are we going to be taking a look at vanity metrics? Do they take a part into the World Cup? Are we going to be looking at likes and sharings and comments over on these brands? Or should we also still consider traffic? So many different channels and sources which will be plugged all to the same website. So how about it?
Yeah, you said once the group stage has started already. I mean, those are internal KPIs, let's say from an operator, they have set them already. So they have set an expectation internally for the team already. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
these are the KPIs that we need to look at, and this is how we measure how our World Cup campaign is performing. And some of those are obviously those are the always the top ones. Registrations, acquisitions, your registrations, your FTDs. Then you go down into turnover, your NGR, GGR, your
Mm-hmm.
margin. And then you got some others as well, like active players. Obviously, how many active players do we constantly have on the website or daily, or the deposit amount. And an important one here as well is player account balances. Because if an account
True.
balance is empty, then they cannot play. You get no turnover, you get no NGR. So basically, you want to get those guys to deposit as well. So these are some internal KPIs that you're definitely looking at. External, obviously, you're looking at your campaign. What is the reach? What is the impression? What are the clicks? What is the traffic, like you said as well? So overall, you're looking at a lot of KPIs, not just one or two, and you say, look, we're doing well. You're looking
Yeah.
at basically everything. But yeah, obviously, what the operator always is looking at is NGR, how much money is
Yeah.
coming in. That's eventually the key one, let's say. But that will depend on the further you progress in the tournament as well.
It will change a
If
little bit, right?
it can change quickly. Let's say you're a Spanish operator and Spain drops out after the group stages. Let's say round 32, they
Mm.
drop out of the. I mean, you're gonna see a drop obviously in your
Mhm.
actives and deposits and player activity basically. So the
Overall
longer
engagement,
that's
right?
it. That's it. So the longer your key national teams are in the tournament, the better usually. Yeah.
Now, what you said is very true. Is very true indeed. The engagement rate will just fall. Italians, for Italians, engagement rate has been falling in the World Cup for them forever since I believe the last, yeah, ever since 2006 they haven't managed to go
Okay.
across
Yeah.
the group stages, right? I think so. They won the World Cup, but they never went after it again. So it is a good exercise to think about maybe some of these big nations that people are putting so much money. England, for example, we will come back home as they always ask, and then you go group out, knock stage, they're off. Oh my God, that's such a
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
such a bucket of cold water into their faces. Oh
Absolutely. And for those UK-based operators, if England doesn't go through to the doesn't go through the group stage, doesn't go through the round of 32, basically the campaign failed already. And I believe it's gonna be in every other market where you have a Spanish operator, an English operator, Brazilian operator. You want them to be in the tournament as long as possible. Get that engagement, keep it as high as possible until
yeah, until it can.
eventually they're out.